from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital. This is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Amarachi Ubani.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, electricity workers suspend strike after 2 weeks. For 2 weeks after meeting with Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige. APC supporters stormed the residence of former President Olusegun Obasanjo as the party's flag bearer, Bola Tinubu, meets the former president behind closed doors.
And on business rate on all its intervention facilities from 9 to 5% as part of measures to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the economy.
On sports news tonight, Anthony Joshua vows to beat heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk to reclaim his titles as both boxers face off ahead of highly anticipated rematch in Jeddah on Saturday.
And from Abuja, security operatives arrest 8 suspected bandits in Kaduna, and the Jigawa state government shuts down all public schools over fears of impending attacks.
State of Wyoming ousts Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a rare Republican critic of Donald Trump, in a primary election. We begin tonight with some cheery news. Barely 8 hours after members of the National Union of Electricity Employees downed tools and shut several power stations across the country, the leadership of the union has made a U-turn, suspending the action for 2 weeks after meeting with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige. A statement from the office of the minister states that the minister has set up a tripartite committee to look into the demands of the union with a view to addressing them. The General Secretary of the union, Mr. Joe Ajero, also confirmed the statement, noting that the union heeded the plea and suspended the action by 2 weeks, and with the hope that the government will take advantage of the window and address the issues raised.
The issues that we had, I thank the Honourable Minister and the Minister of State for Power for their maturity in handling these issues that we brought up. Yes, these issues could have been tackled earlier on if there was the rightful communication with all parties. But well, as we have said, we've been given 2 weeks to wish to report back to the full House. Well, we assure the nation that such crisis will be nipped in the bud before it escalates.
Does it mean that we are going to have light?
Yes.
Today?
Yes, we are going to have light today.
Before that announcement, however, the Transmission Company of Nigeria had confirmed a total shutdown of the nation's power stations as a result of the strike by electricity workers. Leaders of the protesting electricity workers in Abuja and Kaduna State earlier in the day shut power stations, throwing most parts of the country into darkness.
Chants of solidarity songs continue for the second day at the headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Abuja as members of the National Union of Electricity Workers protest across the country. The protest, which started on Tuesday, is a fallout of an earlier 40-day ultimatum issued by the Workers' Union in May this year for the federal government to address their demands, which includes the payment of outstanding arrears of some former workers of the defunct Power Holding Company of Nigeria, PHCN. After occupying the headquarters of TCN in Abuja for 2 days, the Electricity Workers Union took their next line of action as they shut the transmission stations in the nation's capital.
Yesterday, we expect that they would have called for negotiation. They never did. And we have no option. The only weapon we have is our tools. We've done tools. We've withdrawn our services.
We give government opportunity to react. But as you have been told, since yesterday and day before yesterday, they have not reacted. So we cannot just fold our hands and watch few individuals in the country to mess our future up. We will not do that. If they react today, we'll sit down and discuss and resolve all the issues, then we might decide to call off. But if they don't, we'll continue the strike.
The situation is the same at the regional headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Kaduna State. The protesting workers shut down this power station, which supplies electricity to 4 northwest states, including Kaduna, Kebbi, Sokoto, and Zamfara states. It's a total compliance at the Jebba power station in Kwara State as the protesting electricity workers withdraw their services, locking up the power stations as they fault the federal government's privatization of the sector.
Can we say the privatized industry have worked? Have they added any megawatt to the industry? The government should have licensed people to build their own power station and have their own transmission line where there will be competition. But instead, they sold what we have to their own cronies.
At the zonal headquarters of the Transmission Company of Nigeria in Yola, the Adamawa state capital, no protesters were in sight, and neither the workers here nor government officials are willing to comment on the matter. It's the latest in the series of challenges that have crippled electricity generation and distribution in Nigeria after the national grid suffered collapses 7 times this year alone, throwing the nation into darkness on those occasions.
Let's segue into politics now. The last time they were seen together was in 2015, and that's talking about the former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, and APC presidential flag bearer, Bola Tinubu. Today, however, the APC flag bearer held a closed-door meeting with the former president at his hilltop residence in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. After the meeting, the APC flag bearer, who was accompanied by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, and other party chieftains, moved to the MKO Abiola Stadium, where the party supporters received him and his entourage.
The helicopter conveying the APC presidential candidate, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and other party leaders, making its way towards the premises of the Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Not wanting to miss anything, party supporters lay wait in and around the Top Hill residence of Nigeria's former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, anxiously waiting to receive their party flag bearer. Shortly after, he arrives, Chief Obasanjo's residence, accompanied by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, former governors of Ogun State, Benga Daniel, Olusegun Oshoba, the incumbent governor, Dapo Abiodun, and other party chieftains. Although the relationship between both men has been a subject of several debates, on this occasion, banters were not in short supply. Before moving into a closed-door meeting. Emerging later, with no indication of details of the discussions, the group then moves to the MKO Abiola Stadium, where the state governor is hosting artisans from across the state. The state governor is happy to announce the presence of his august visitor.
You had planned this event for several weeks. We had postponed it about 3 or 4 times. It was meant to hold tomorrow, but because of the exigencies of my office, I graciously requested that you please bring it forward to today, not even knowing that we were going to have an august visitor in the month of August. You are indeed lucky artisans. This will be His Excellency Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu's first official visit to anywhere after he won the primaries of APC. So you are indeed very lucky.
Meanwhile, it will be recalled that the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, has announced his exit from partisan politics. His home, however, has continued to be a mecca of some sort for politicians. And as the 2023 election draws closer, meetings and consultations among politicians will continue with the ultimate aim of getting the necessary support for the task ahead of the election.
In the meantime, a former deputy national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Olabode George, has been commenting on the visit of the APC presidential candidate to former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The former military administrator of Ondo State is confident the former president would not compromise in speaking truth to power, especially when matters of the nation is concerned. Chief George was speaking on our political program, Politics Today.
Baba Obasanjo remains an enigma. He's an icon. And his doors must remain wide open to all Nigerians. But I can confidently tell you that where truth matters on issues of the nation, he will not bend any rules to make sure he tells the truth to power. I don't know what Bola is looking for or what his mission is, but I can tell you that he will be ready and willing to tell him his views on national issues. Fortunately, Bola belongs to the ruling party. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to look at the state of the country, which is being managed presently by the members of his own party, the APC. Take any sector in this country. Are we doing well? Is this nation not drifting very badly? Is it in terms of economics? Is it in terms of security? Is it in terms of employment? Take an example of what you just mentioned in your opening speech, that the universities are still on strike. 180-something days. Our boys are still at home. Our girls are still at home. These are the future leaders in this country. What is going on? If a party that is there and that is supposedly given powers to manage the resources of this nation for the benefit of the people cannot find a solution to this, it is disgraceful.
In part two, after the break, suspended General Secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association, Joyce Odua, files a suit against the association, its national executives, and the Inspector General of Police, challenging her suspension. That's in a moment. Do join us again. Welcome back. If it has joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. Here's a reminder of our top stories. Electricity workers suspend strike for 2 weeks after meeting with Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige. And APC supporters stormed the residence of former President Olusegun Obasanjo as the party's flag bearer, Bola Tinubu, meets with the former president behind closed doors. We're staying with national issues and with another former president, this time former military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, who's asking Nigerians to be patient regarding the challenges facing the country and also pray for the nation to overcome them. General Babangida turned 81 today. He called on citizens to remain resolute and believe in the unity of Nigeria, also urging the media to ignore those preaching disunity and give priority to those working to ensure peace and unity.
At a time the nation is contending with many challenges, especially a shrinking economy and insecurity, the words of elder statesmen, such as former military president Ibrahim Babangida, becomes crucial in the efforts at finding solutions to them.
Even worse than what he went through.
The former Nigerian leader is using the occasion of his 81st birthday to remind citizens that although things may be tough, everyone must unite to ensure the continued peaceful coexistence of the nation.
No matter what happens, if you are able to be patient, it will come, it will happen, it will pass. And whatever happens to you today has happened to others many years ahead. And others are coming to go through the same thing or even worse than what you went through.
And in keeping the country together, General Babangida believes the media has a key role to play.
So with all these efforts, I think you can change the psyche of the ordinary Nigerian. Those that preach hate and disunity, you ignore them and don't bother about them. That's, I think, the argument what is trying to establish. And I want to say that congratulations, because in the next 8 years, maybe the media will shape how Nigeria behaves, how Nigeria reacts, and so on. I wish you well. I like the debate that is currently going on amongst yourselves. You should be able to change the Nigerian narrative. We could only do it through you. And what you are doing now, I think, is good. So you should keep it up.
Meanwhile, the former military president has been receiving congratulatory messages from well-wishers. One of them came from the president. In a statement by his media aide, Femi Adesina, the president notes the historical role of the former military president in shaping the political and economic development of the country and his counsel to upcoming political leaders. On his part, the governor of Niger State, Abubakar Sani Bello, describes the former military president as a true elder statesman and a nationalist. Governor Bello states, "The memories of your courage, invaluable service to the Nigerian army in protecting the sovereignty of the country, and your exemplary leadership qualities have indeed been helping and stimulating the younger generations for better service to their country." Governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, commends General Babangida's fighting to defend the peace and integrity of the nation, saying, "Till date, Nigeria flows in your thoughts and blood. You are an example of patriotism." Born August 17, 1941, General Ibrahim Babangida was Nigeria's military president between August 27, 1985 and August 26, 1993.
The leadership crisis rocking the Nigerian Bar Association seems far from over, as the suspended Secretary General of the association, Joyce Odwa, has sued the lawyers' body, its national executives and the Inspector General of Police in the suit filed by her counsel, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Murtala Abdul Rashid. Odwa is challenging her suspension from office, a decision taken after an emergency meeting held by the National Executive Committee on Monday, August 15, 2022. She claims that her purported suspension is unconstitutional, null, void, and of no effect whatsoever for being a gross violation of Section 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Sections 239, 242, and 288 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, and the Constitution of the Nigerian Bar Association 2015, as amended in 2021. She's arguing, among other things, and having regard to the provisions of Sections 36 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the purported resolution of the emergency meeting of the NBA Exco held on August 15 is null, void, illegal, and unconstitutional. Time to hand over now to Gloria Mezoke in Abuja. Hi, Gloria. Great to see you.
Hello, Amarachi. Good to see you too. Well, we begin in Kaduna State, where security operatives have arrested 8 suspected bandits who have been terrorizing residents of Marire community in Lere local government area of the state. The arrest, according to the Kaduna State Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, was successfully carried out as a result of sustained intelligence gathering. He disclosed that troops of Operation Safe Haven acted on credible intelligence and arrested 7 members of the gang. Aruwan gives the names of the suspects as Musa Adamu, Abdullahi Usman, Suleiman Hasidu Usman, Jibril Saidu Issa, Hassan Abdul Hamid, and Idris Sani. One Hajia Bilkisu, a suspected accomplice who had been housing the arrested persons, was unfortunately lynched to death by angry members of the community as she tried to escape. Following the developments, the Kaduna State government has urged security agencies to ensure a thorough investigation of the suspects, while also appealing to the citizens to avoid all forms of jungle justice. The government also urged that security agencies be given the needed cooperation to work in line with the dictates of the law. Well, still on security, the Jigawa State government has ordered the closure of all public primary and secondary schools over fears of attacks. Well, according to the Commissioner of Information, Mr. Lawal Yunusa, who confirmed the development, the state government received intelligence that states, especially with international borders, are prone to attacks. Mr. Lawal says private schools and higher institutions should use their discretion to do same, as they have been informed of the development. When our correspondents visited some of the schools within the state capital, boarding students were seen carrying their luggages as they head back home, while some were stranded owing to the abrupt decision. The Nigeria Governors Forum have criticized the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, describing his recent claims and actions as fraudulent and self-serving. Chairman of the forum, Kayode Fayemi, told the media after a meeting that the forum will take every constitutional and legal means to ensure that the purported consultancies are fully litigated upon by the Supreme Court. The Minister of Justice had days ago stated that the governors had no basis to reject the proposed deductions of $418 million from the Paris Club refund because they had conceded that such payments be made to the consultants.
Although this matter is sub judice and we are very reluctant to get in the way of a matter that is still being pursued in the courts, we're constrained by the manner in which the Honorable Attorney General has been going around various media houses and purporting to create the impression that this is a liability to which governors have committed themselves to and agreed to, even though he is very much aware that that's not the case. And we reject all of the claims that he has made on these issues. And we also insist that the state would not give up on insisting that these purported claims are fraudulent and will not stand as far as governors are concerned, and we will take every constitutional and legal means to ensure that these purported consultancies are fully litigated upon by the highest court in the land. If the courts now find governors and the Nigerian Governors Forum and states liable, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. As far as we are concerned, this is a matter that governors feel very strongly about, and we do not believe that the Attorney General of the Federation is acting in the public interest. We believe he's acting in personal, selfish interest that would ultimately become clear when this matter is fully addressed in the law courts.
Well, earlier in the day, the Nigeria Governors Forum had reiterated its commitment to building a resilient primary health care system across the country. The chairman of the forum, Governor Kayode Fayemi of Ekiti State, gave the assurance at the State House, Abuja, during the launch of the Primary Healthcare Leadership Challenge Fund. Governor Fayemi believes that a strong primary healthcare system can expand the attainment of the universal health coverage to as much as 80% of the nation's population.
Thank you very much.
This is a follow-up to the Seattle Declaration in November 2019, when state governors made a commitment to reflect primary health care in their development agenda. The state governors are joined by development partners as well as religious leaders as the forum launches the Primary Health Care Leadership Challenge. Under the challenge, the best performing and most improved states from each of the 6 geopolitical zones are eligible for monetary grants. An overall national winner will also emerge as the nation's most improved performance.
There will be periodic measure of progress against selected indicators based on agreed performance monitoring frameworks to be computed annually, and a monetary reward given to best performing and winning states, who will also receive non-financial rewards from the Minister of Health, the Aliko Dangote Foundation, and Bill Gates.
The indicators that we're going to be using cover political leadership and community empowerment, finance resource allocation, the quality of care in our primary health care centers, but it's also important that we monitor and evaluate the outcomes of our investments and make sure that these are done in a way that strengthens institutions and enhances sustainability.
This meeting is coming a day after the National Bureau of Statistics released the Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey and National Immunization Coverage Survey report. Gladdened by the outcome of these reports, the governors make a commitment.
The Nigerian Governors Forum, representing the 36 states of the Federation, hereby affirm our commitment to strengthen the primary health care system in the country and providing active leadership for primary health care through regular engagement with relevant primary health care stakeholders and quarterly primary health care performance review at the State Executive Council meetings.
The first set of winners is expected to emerge by December 2022, as the indicators are already being collated by an independent verification agent that has been engaged by the partners.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria's central bank adjusts interest rates on all its intervention facilities from 9 to 5% as part of measures to reduce the impact of COVID-19 on the economy. Well, that's on business news. To join us again.
Welcome back. Governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, says he will leave office by May next year with his shoulders high following the level of infrastructure, among other things, that his administration has provided for the people of the state. The governor, during the commissioning of his latest project, was accompanied by a special guest, Governor of Kogi State, Ibrahim Idris, who commended Governor Wike for prioritizing the development of the state.
Located at the popular Waterlines Junction on Aba Road in Port Harcourt, the River State capital, is the newly remodeled Waterlines building by the Nyesom Wike administration as part of its urban regeneration agenda. In the past, the building served as office complex for the state-owned land and water transport company, but was left to rot for lack of maintenance. However, it now wears a new look. The special guest at this event and former governor of Kogi State, Ibrahim Idris, commends his host for fulfilling the basics of governance, which is to improve the welfare of the citizens.
One good thing about Governor Mwike project is that they are direct bearing on the lives of the people. All the good people of Rivers State to continue to extend cooperation and support the present administration for more dividends of democracy.
For Governor Wike, he feels excited that his administration has changed the landscape of Port Harcourt with his numerous projects. He's, however, worried about the maintenance of the building.
My problem now is, what am I going to do with this property? If we give it now to our civil servant, what will happen in the next 6 months? Head of service is here. All you hear, story upon story, is so terrible. So, we'll try and see whether we can go back to the civil servant or we'll do PPP.
In expressing his determination to deliver on other landmark projects like the Trans-Calabari Road and the Andoni section of the Unity Road, Governor Wike warned the indigents and contractors against sabotage.
We have people who can deliver. We have also people who will not want to deliver. But God will catch them. If I give you a job, you don't deliver, you know where you're heading to. Because there are no two ways about it. Every promise we have made, by the special grace of God, we shall fulfill those promises.
This complex, which is around the newly inaugurated Orachiri-Waruko Waterlines flyover, is seen as a strong demonstration of the state government's will in promoting the culture of revamping moribund public facilities.
Technomobile, a global premium smartphone brand in partnership with African Artistry Foundation, has added a special version to the Camon 19 series called the Mondrian Edition. The latest smartphone, which was unveiled at the African Artistry Foundation Gallery in Lagos, is the world's first smart device with unique back panel that changes color when exposed to light, creating a device that is both artistic and intuitive.
Personalities and influencers from the technology, music, art, fashion and entertainment industries are in attendance at this entertaining premium event focused on the brand theme, Tech Meets Art. This is made possible by Techno Nigeria and the African Artistry Foundation. For the highlights of the evening, Techno brand manager Luke Pan is joined by brand ambassador Tiwa Savage to unveil the artistic Camon 19 Mondrian Edition. The device is built with a unique feature that enables its back to change color to a Mondrian theme when exposed to ultraviolet rays or sunlight. It also comes with a super night mode camera and a quad flashlight for users to create superior videos without worrying about blurred backgrounds or dull colors.
This is a special edition which has the Mondrian theme, and then it comes in different color. It's beautiful and a masterpiece. So that's why we are measuring it with arts, because it's a beautiful masterpiece and a work of art, and we feel we should have an exhibition. So what we're having today is an exhibition to showcase our masterpiece in your palm. The collaboration with All African Artists Foundation is just the right thing for us to do to bring this masterpiece to light.
I love it. It's amazing. It's a blessing. I feel like it's history, that's been, engraved in a phone. I really, really love the slickness of the phone. I love the design, and I look forward to more with the brand in the future.
Inspired by the artwork provided by the African Artists Foundation, guests get the opportunity to create their Mondrian-inspired art at the Sip and Paint stand.
In the contemporary world today, there are no real boundaries between, say, music, literature, photography, painting, because the technology has made all of these things possible on the smartphone. And so with the Technophone, you can actually create all of these iconic ideas and all of these brilliant creative ideas in your hand, on your phone, and anyone can do it.
Technomobile says it is expanding its global reach and focusing on premium services by incorporating art into its mobile devices, transforming them into creative technologies.
Let's get more business news now. Here's Teniola Shubawali.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Amarachi. The Central Bank of Nigeria has adjusted the interest rates on all its interventions lower from 9 to 5% per annum. In a statement released today, the financial markets regulator says the reduction is part of measures to mitigate the negative impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the Nigerian economy. The CBN further mentions that the revised rate shall be implemented on all intervention facilities granted with effect from July the 20th. President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in Mohammed Shehu as the new chairman for the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission. It was sworn in today before the commencement of the weekly virtual meeting of the Federal Executive Council. His appointment in June followed the resignation of the immediate past chairman, Elias Mbam, to contest for the office of the governor of Ebonyi State under the All Progressives Party. Speaking to State House correspondents after the exercise, the new chairman pledged to work hard to assist the country gain more revenues within the confines of extant laws. And outside our shores, Egypt's central bank governor Tariq Amer has announced his resignation just over a year before the completion of his final term in office. State TV said he stepped down to allow others complete the successful development process under the leadership of the president. The country's government bonds suffered a sell-off on international debt markets following reports of Amer's unexpected resignation. Between 2016 and 2022, under his tenure, Egypt's economy has seen two currency crises and has been hit by the coronavirus pandemic and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Its central bank also raised interest rates to among the highest levels in the world, attracting large foreign inflows, which quickly dried up early this year. Meanwhile, no announcement has been made for his successor. And for the first time in more than 40 years, the UK's inflation rate increased by a double-digit percentage to a new high of 10.1% in July. The double-digit percentage, which is higher than economists' forecast, is attributed to rising food and energy costs, which pushed the consumer price inflation from 9.4% in June to its highest level since February 1982. The ONS noted that the rate of inflation this month was the highest for any July since comparable monthly measures began in 1988. Was remarkable because prices often decline within the period as high street discounts often take place. It's another back and forth movement for primary indicators at the stock market as fresh sell pressure in Zenith Bank and FBN Holdings led to a mild decline in the market cap and all share index. John Mekwa has details of today's trading performance.
Thank you so much. Welcome to the stock market report. That fear was real. The bull has lost its hold. And yes, the bear is back. So the bearish sentiment did not really go away. As we see, the all-share index shed 0.04%. And yesterday, at least we had 49,700 plus. Now it's 49,691. There we do. And then even at the market cap, yesterday was about 26,820 plus. Now it's 26,801, losing closeness to that 27,000 trillion naira. And the market also lost 11 billion naira. But the gain of yesterday still exceeds that's what we have lost today. And we hope it stays that way till the end of the week. Now, let's look at the activity chart. It's not as red as it was yesterday. Value gained up, going from about 1 billion naira yesterday to 4.124 billion naira today. Some green, we have their volume is much deeper in the red, as well as the deals less than what we had yesterday. Now, Prestige Assurance PLC led the top gainers for today. We see it's up 9.09%, while on the flip side, we have Courtsville Business Solutions leading that flip side. It lost 9.80%. Will this be the only green for the week? Well, we will watch and report. That's what we do here. That's the stock market report. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, Ini. Now let's check on the closing figures of major global markets for the day. And that's Business News Tonight. I'm Teniola Shubowale. It's back to Amarachi for the rest of the news at 10.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Tenny. Liz Cheney, the fierce Republican critic of former U.S. President Donald Trump, has criticized the party for what she says is embracing his cult of personality. Ms. Cheney was ousted in yesterday's primary election in Wyoming. The 56-year-old was defeated by political newcomer and Trump-backed candidate Harriet Hageman. Simon Pusey has more on this and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
Never in our nation's 246 years have we seen what we saw on January 6th.
Voters in the U.S. state of Wyoming have ousted Congresswoman Liz Cheney, a rare Republican critic of former President Donald Trump, in a primary election. The 56-year-old, who was once a rising Republican star, was one of only 2 members of her party to join the congressional committee investigating Mr. Trump's attempts to cling on to power.
Wyoming has spoken on behalf of everyone who is concerned that the game is becoming more and more rigged against them.
She has been beaten by a relative political newcomer and Trump-backed candidate Harriet Hageman. Cheney said in her concession speech that she had no regrets about not supporting the former president.
2 years ago, I won this primary with 73% of the vote. I could easily have done the same again. The path was clear. But it would have required that I go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. It would have required that I enable his ongoing efforts to unravel our democratic system and attack the foundations of our republic. That was a path I could not and would not take.
Veteran Kenyan politician Raila Odinga is currently exploring his legal and constitutional options to challenge the presidential results, in which he narrowly lost to Deputy President William Ruto. He now has less than 5 days to file a petition at the Supreme Court.
Was opaque and incapable of earning our ownership and confidence.
One of the issues that is likely to shape the petition is the allegation by some commissioners of the electoral body that the chairman sidelined them in the later phases of the results tallying process. 4 commissioners out of 7 have alleged that they did not analyse the results verified by the technical team before the final declaration.
Our view in Azimio is clear. The figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void. I repeat, the figures announced by Mr. Chebukati are null and void and must be quashed by a court of law.
Ukraine's State Emergency Service has released a video that it says shows the aftermath of a Russian missile strike 60 kilometers south of Odessa in the coastal town of Zatoka. The strike left 4 people wounded, caused fire and severe damage in one of the town's resorts. The railway bridge of Zatoka is a key connection between Odessa region's south to the rest of Ukraine and has been targeted during the war several times before. Footage released by Castello firefighters in Spain show firemen running from a violent blaze as they scrambled to stop a wildfire from reaching a region in Valencia. 2 firefighters were injured in the event, and although they had suffered burns, their lives were not in danger. The wildfire started on Monday, and since then the villages of Teresa and Torras have been evacuated, whilst people in the village of Viver have been asked to remain at home. Torrential rains have hit New Zealand's South Island, flooding rivers, houses and roads and forcing roughly 200 households to evacuate. Around 70 homes in Nelson at the north of the South Island and a further 140 homes on the west coast were evacuated. Eyewitness footage showed a swollen Maitai River overflowing the banks and partially submerging houses and trees. Strong floodwaters were seen gushing under the Collingwood Street Bridge in the same area. And finally, Pope Francis seemed pleased as a small boy walked onto the podium during the general audience to greet him.
Ti piace essere qui? Accomodati, accomodati lì. Nell'udienza parlavamo del dialogo fra vecchi e giovani.
He told the congregation, "In the hearing we talked about dialogue between old and young. This child was brave, and he remains calm."
Che abbiamo celebrato a tutti la mia benedizione. E adesso.
As the weekly audience continued, the child was allowed to stay roaming around the podium close to the Pope.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.
It's time for sports news. Here's Victor Matthias.
Thank you, Amarachi, and welcome to Sports News. Anthony Joshua faced Alexander Usyk at the final press conference ahead of their high-stakes rematch earlier today and vowed he must win after September's loss to the Ukrainian. Usyk delivered an assured performance over 12 rounds last year to outpoint Joshua and win the WBO, WBA and IBF heavyweight titles. Joshua knows his place at the top of the heavyweight division depends on this fight, and he insists he cannot afford to lose.
Joshua and team. And that's it, must win. Now, I like the pressure. It's been tough. Robert Garcia, Angel Fernandez, and like existing members of my previous team as well have definitely pushed me, challenged me. But mostly like, yeah, just get the job done, instinct, stay focused, get the job done, and God willing, we're victorious. I've got goals that I want to achieve in the ring on the night, and I'm going to be disciplined enough and follow them through. So yeah, that's like competition with myself. And as you mentioned about the belts, they mean something, but that's all at the end of the target. So it's not like I'm skipping the process. So I'm focused on the process.
And Falconets coach Christopher Danjuma says his girls must have their feet firmly on the ground as they confront Canada in the final group game of the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup. The girls have been the surprise team in Group C, having won against France and Korea Republic, and they are looking to make it 9 points from 3 matches. The game will come up at 3 a.m. Nigerian time on Thursday.
Yes, God has been helping us. We've been building the team. Game after game, we've been building strength. And I believe the game against Canada is also one of those games that we want to improve on our lot, on every area that we've noticed that we need to work on. So the approach for Canada is a mentality that God has given us that was started with winning, and we want to continue like that. The more matches you win, the more respect it earns you. You know, the more matches you win, the more respect it earns. You earn from the opponent, you earn from everybody. So nobody wants to lose a position they have attained in a height. So that is the approach of the match.
And in England, Manchester United forward Cristiano Ronaldo has received a police caution for smashing a 14-year-old boy's phone to the ground following a defeat at Everton last season. The 37-year-old apologized via social media to the young fan after the incident, which happened in April. The boy's mother said he had been left with a bruised hand and a smashed phone screen during the incidents. And a board member for the Tokyo Olympics has been arrested on suspicion of taking bribes, along with 3 other men connected to the scandal. Prosecutors say Haruyuki Takahashi allegedly received $380,000 from high street business suit retailer Aoki Holdings, an official partner of last year's games. The 78-year-old was arrested along with Aoki chairman Hironori Aoki and 2 other executives from the retailer. They accused Takahashi of accepting bribes with the understanding they were meant as a thank you money for the beneficial and preferential treatment he bestowed on Aoki 2022. And that's a wrap on Sports News. I'm Victor Matthias. Thank you for watching. It's back to Amarachi with the wrap of the news at 10.
Thanks a lot, Victor. And just a slight correction in our business story about the CBN changing interest rates. The rates were indeed changed from 5% to 9%. And the main news again. Electricity workers today suspended their one-day-old industrial action for 2 weeks after they met with the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Singige. They also promised to restore electricity supply to the nation. Also today, the Nigerian Governors Forum criticized the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, over his claims on the Paris Club refund. The forum described his action as fraudulent, self-serving and not in public interest. And APC supporters today stormed the residence of former President Olusegun Obasanjo as the party's flag bearer, Bola Tinubu, met with the former president behind closed doors. That's it on the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night and stay well.